Outside try bark, no. 488 Ferrari. Make her get on top of me and rob me like a heart.
If the first 10 minutes of Subnautica don't leave you in awe, you are dead inside. In its first 10 minutes, it accomplishes more than half of the survival genre could ever dream of. I've never loved survival games. They always seem to be inhibited by severe and varying flaws. Some of them are technical flaws that come from studios without necessary resources. Others penchant for these studios to never actually finish these games. They treat them as platforms of change until they die out, only to never be fully realized. This often leaves them feeling hollow or obviously unfinished, which makes Subnautica a beautiful slice of irony. The game is in early access on console and only just got out of early access on PC, and yet it manages to exemplify everything that should make a survival game great. It does more than that, it creates tension, it gets almost everything right. But this isn't about Subnautica being worthy of praise, it's about examining what it is that makes it great and examining what so much of the survival genre fails to accomplish, and what makes a good survival game by using a good one as a jumping off point. We're going to dive into why Subnautica is so good and how it avoided so many of the trappings of the genre. The first problem much of the survival genre suffers from is the world built around these games. Many survival games have procedurally generated worlds which leads to a good replayability but often creates confusing spaces. It leaves the world feeling as a vehicle for the mechanics and nothing more. Subnautica bucks this trend entirely. Instead, the world given to players to explore is painstakingly handcrafted, every single bit of it. Placed in very intentional ways, and it's immaculately crafted to the point where it becomes a living piece of the game's puzzle, and it becomes the center of your driving focus. You crash land on an alien planet you are told to survive. Stranded in a pod in the middle of the ocean, the game opens up with that pod crashing into the water, and you exit the pod, thrust yourself into the water, and your jaw drops. Playing this game sometimes felt like existing in a Pixar movie, like being transported into an alien version of Finding Nemo. It is the most immersive survival experience you will ever have, and it's all meaningful to the gameplay experience. The blue world underneath your pod is filled with an alien marine life that exists with or without your input, feeding, moving in schools, and it's all awe-inspiring and supported audibly. As you explore the terrors of this water, you will be greeted with an audio experience that is haunting, that feels so real, that offers cues, subtle and sometimes abrasive, as to when you're in danger. What's behind you, what's coming, what's to your left, what's to your right. It adds so much to the first person perspective. And then the sun goes down for the first time, the rays of light penetrating the water disappear, and the sea lights up in a way that is so beautiful that you'll forget you're playing a game. Neon life, neon colors, plants, it's all there waiting for you to learn about it, leading you in the direction of incredible points of interest. Caves, discoveries, unique and diverse biomes, all smartly explained by this being an alien world. It's beautiful, it's the best game world you'll exist in for a long time, and as you build your own giant and complex base, it begins to feel like the world is yours. But there are bigger problems that the survival games have, which Subnautica also attempts to solve. In a survival game, surviving is your goal, sometimes your only goal. How long can you last? In turn, the genre relies on progression systems to keep you moving forward, to keep you engaged. This is often nothing more than a grind which is wrapped in a facade of survival and not defined by true leveling. The monotonous tasks of farming, of collecting food can get exhausting in its repetition, mostly because it's arbitrarily difficult. Now there's a place in games that build themselves around this slow grind, but Subnautica cleverly swims its way around these tedious tasks by not shoving them down your throat every 10 seconds. If you play in survival mode, you'll still have to eat and drink to survive, but it doesn't force a constant stress upon its player. Collecting food and water is never so easy as to make it boring, but it's also not so difficult as to it consumes the experience. It's a mechanic in place to reinforce your battle between exploration and the terror of the world, to make its dangers more real and not to beat you over the head with them. And to make it even better, the progression system in place offers steady progress which never really puts itself in a lull. You're always improving your equipment, your base, your chances of survival. There's no required downtime of waiting out until morning or stalling until some progress timer is completed. You'll quickly go from swimming in your everyday scuba suit to using submarines, and yet the game continues to keep you on your toes by throwing greater threats your way. Even smarter is how the handcrafted world spreads its resources out in a manner that allows you to play as you please. The game makes sure that every crafting item serves a purpose, and there's far less of the I'm only crafting this so I can craft something else later. This makes progress feel much less grinding. Another issue that you will usually find in the survival genre is that they struggle to tell cohesive and interesting stories. It's a tough balancing act between weaving a narrative without detracting from the gameplay, which is even harder in a genre that worries less about story. How do you craft a tale that doesn't detract from your exploration, progress, your feeling of doom? Subnautica walks this tightrope in such a fashion that is genuinely surprising at times. It starts when you exit your pod after the game's 30-second opening. The only thing visible in any direction is your crashed ship, which is on fire, but it's calling your name to be explored. Your ship was mysteriously shot down. You find traces of human and alien colonization on the seemingly uninhabited ocean planet, and there's even a pronounced plot thread about a viral outbreak. There's legitimate, detailed narrative here. This is the only direction you're giving, but again, you're smartly giving direction. And that's all you're ever giving. Never will the story be crammed down your throat. Never will it take away from what you enjoy about the game. Large chunks of the story can be completely missed, and that's part of its charm. It encourages your exploration. It keeps on feeding more and more to you, but only if you want it to. But the story is actually very good. Unlike many of its contemporaries, it isn't shoehorned to make you feel like there is a reason for you to survive. Instead, there is very much a beginning, middle, and end. This is a story told through logs, through an ever-increasing amount of environmental storytelling. Subnautica manages to do survival to maintain player agency without losing what makes it special. Legacy lasts much longer than the current trends and circles around. And the best part is that it's only going to get better. It's only going to get more expensive. Get it on the ground floor for just $20. It's one of the best bargains in gaming. There's an ocean just waiting for you to explore, so crash your ship and give yourself up to it.